Okay, setting up webinar for Facebook Live. Okay, I'm getting it up, so here we go. All right, well, we'll wait till everybody joins in before we get this started. What's up, Steve? Looks like we got people joining in now. I'm gonna give it a few minutes.
Yeah, that's some of the people joining in on the Zoom also.
Yeah, so we'll give everybody a minute to tune in. So just be patient with us if you're already on here, please. So.
What's going on, Steve?
I can't see how many people are joined in already, though.
4.
4. Yeah, but those numbers are always different. Like my live the other night said I had like 65 people on there. And as soon as I closed it out, there was already like 2,600 views. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, what the hell?
Now there's 14. I had to hit live. I had to play on the feed to get it to update.
Yeah. Cool.
Move my monitor over so I'm not looking over to the side all the time.
Yeah, Steve said congratulations on the launch. So we're going to
discuss that tomorrow.
Hopefully everything goes well. So I don't know. We'll do about a 2-minute warning and let everybody get on here. Everybody's waving, it looks like.
Everyone's like, oh shit, it's just Scott.
Yeah.
You're not going to do any TA and give us free coin advice? I guess we can talk about the market a little bit while you're waiting, right? It's always good to hear from Todd about the market, or are you going to do that?
Yeah. Actually, we had a good old Sunday run day. And I kind of figured that. I woke up pretty early and checked the market this morning to take up positions because it's the same thing it did last week. Sunday was a really big day for it. The volume was higher. It was like out of the 7 days, it was like, the second highest volume day on a Sunday. I'm like, wow. Last week, so I haven't checked the volume today, but
I wonder if it's because people got done traveling from consensus, and
that's what I said on my live video. More of a, I have a feeling that people aren't just going to like open their laptop at consensus and start buying things. They're there to shake hands, trade emails, trade phone numbers, and then over the following next 2 or 3 weeks, they're going to like go back, sit down, let's gather our thoughts together, and let's look at this project, that project, whoever we met, shoot the emails, and that's usually how it's going to transpire, I would say.
And plus, that wouldn't be the best environment anyways to open up a wallet or log into your laptop.
Yeah, I see. Cameron has
10,000 people that know that there's going to be some secret keys to steal.
Yeah, I already see people asking questions. Cameron has one or whatever, but check this out, everyone. I'm going to go through a series of questions, so we might answer through our general discussion here of, something that's on your mind. So if you want, save your questions till the end. We'll do a Q&A at that point and, try to get you all the information that, you need to make an educated decision on whether, you want to participate in Halo or not. But okay, well, it's 8:03, so let's get started. Hopefully everybody's tuned in here. Everybody knows who I am. Unfortunately, can't miss Todd. But I guess I'll do a formal introduction. This is Scott Morrison. He's the CEO of Halo, and we got some exciting news to bring to you guys today. The Halo mainnet launches tomorrow. So, Scott, welcome to CCT Live. Sunday night fun day.
What's up, man? Thanks, man. I love being here. So
yeah, that's great. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it for everybody that really doesn't know? What is Halo? What is it? Let's just start at the beginning, and we'll go through that and explain it to me in layman terms that like anybody can understand.
So I've been in crypto now for 4 or 5 years, somewhere in there. You start to lose track after a time. And one thing over the years that I've noticed is that there was a lot of fragmentation in it. So if you wanted to do research or chat with people like Todd and talk to them and get their insight, but then you also wanted to trade or do market research on coins, or even just control all of your coins in one place, there really wasn't a good place to do that. And so I started to come up with the concept of the Halo platform. So what that is it's a place to congregate, organize, strategize, and execute all in one place. Some people have likened it to a crypto OS or a Bloomberg terminal for crypto. And we eventually will get to that point. We're rapidly deploying out more and more pieces, especially right after we get through the mainnet launch, then we'll start deploying the more pieces. So at mainnet, you'll be able to deploy your masternodes, control them, go through the whole process. It'll have the Halo wallet. It'll have the block explorer and all the general stuff that you would want on mainnet launch. And then as we roll out and get the other pieces on, the multi-coin wallet will be rolling out here shortly, and also with the multi-exchange control. So you'll be able to load in your API keys to Binance, Bittrex, Coinex, Bitfinex, and trade all in one platform to all of those exchanges via API, which trading via API is actually a lot more efficient than trading via someone's front end. So during the big bull run, which I think, Todd, you and I talked about this, their websites are going down, which is
I mean, the WebSockets are just locking up on me, and I'm like, man, so I switch over to API to get my trades in because the bots are still running the prices, when everybody's sitting there stuck.
So people don't realize that even though they think the exchange is down because they can't log onto the website or the website keeps logging them out, the matching engines and the trading engines are still running in the background and still processing everything. So when you trade via API, you actually don't have that front end, that loss of the front end access. So you'd still be able to trade during a bull run for the most part, unless they literally suffer like a major critical crash or something like that, which most of the exchanges didn't crash. It was just their front ends getting bogged down and the WebSockets getting tied up and everything like that.
I mean, I can't name an exchange that hasn't,
I mean, every single exchange. I mean, even Binance, you'd get lagged out.
And even GDAX, and they have so much money invested into their back end and their infrastructure. Bitfinex, the WebSocket, I mean, these guys are dumping crazy money into these, and they still can't keep up. But so
trading via API is definitely safer during a large market run. Plus, what will allow then is control. So you don't have to sit there and tab through different web browsers or do any of that. You'll be able to just control them in one spot. So you still have to select which exchange to tab through, but it's one screen, and you can actually even be able to drag out, like if you want to watch Bitfinex and Binance or BitMEX or GDAX, whichever one, you can drag out the different windows. So if you're watching Bitcoin between the four exchanges, you can drag those out into different areas of your screen and watch the order books and execute from there, as long as you have your API key in one place on them. And then also you'll be able to do, like I was watching your Patreon AMA, and you were talking about, Ethereum had that flash crash where it dropped down.
Yeah, it had a long wick on the candle that was unique to Bitfinex only.
Right. And so you're like, I'd have to go look at the other exchanges to see if that is unique or if that was an actual Ethereum dip right there that went across. So you'd be able to pull in the order books from the different exchanges to actually compare the candles, or even pull them in and just merge them to get an actual entire sentiment for Ethereum across, the exchanges that you select to pull in. So we would read in all of the information from their order books and combine it in and say, at this moment, this candle, here's all the information from your 5 selected exchanges into one, or just overlay them, like red would be your Bitfinex, orange, color organize them and say, here's your overlays.
Well, let me ask you this. In your opinion, what do you feel is going to make Halo set itself apart from everything else? What you're saying sounds like the Amazon of crypto here, man. I'm getting a little excited. I'm a trader.
It is, and that's what we've really, really developed it on. You and I have had some chats on what is the features that you wish exchanges had. Some of it's just also my own use and my own vision on it. Behind everything, though, we still have our own coin and our own network. So we're a fork of Ethereum a long time ago, and we've moved away from proof of work. We're not proof of stake. Basically, we designed our own consensus model using the Raft consensus. So it's not really our own consensus model, just the way business is done and the way blocks are generated and transactions are processed. So we still have smart contract capacity. So behind everything, you can have smart contracts. So if you're on the platform and you want to set up a subscription fee for something or anything, we can do that all via the blockchain. So everything is blockchain integrated. So all of our dApps are integrated through the blockchain, and you can do it via smart contract or send something to somebody via the Halo platform. And that's not just for Halo coin either. The smart contracts are, but you can interact with your Ethereum, you can interact with your Bitcoin. The platform is also a remote blockchain. So you don't have to sync a blockchain to your computer. So if you're using Ethereum and Bitcoin and Dash, you're not going to sync any of those blockchains to your computer. So basically you just load in your key and everything is local to your computer. The other thing is having proper security. So anytime you have to upload a JSON or input a password onto a website for your key, like how Mew does it, that's not secure. I mean, even though Mew didn't get hacked 3 weeks ago, Google did, and they had their DNSs hijacked. So people thought they were going to Mew, and it wasn't Mew's in security flaw, but Google did. And so then people got their keys stolen because they went to a website and uploaded a JSON and typed in the password. And it's just not secure, period. There's no perfect way to secure stuff. This is a better way to secure it because it's all local to your computer. So as long as your computer is secure, which anyone who's trading in crypto, you should be secure, then it's all local there. And we're still coming up with more ways to even secure it more with sandboxing and some other stuff that would isolate your keys away from the rest of your computer. So even if you did have an infection or a hijacking, you'd have a way to recover your keys or they'd still remain secure. So it is a lot better.
Now, would that be possible for me to use that on a completely like air gap system?
Absolutely.
Okay, now we're talking. Because everybody knows I'm big on security. That's one of my biggest fears. And I keep everything completely like air gapped. Except for like what I'm actively trading or actively doing at the time. But anything I ever have in cold storage, man, like I literally let the laptop battery die. Like.
Yep.
And like I had to like do some things the other day. I had to charge the laptop just to like do it. So
I remember that. You were like, I had to go plug in the laptop to go look up something.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
I'm the same way. It's like disconnect the printer because like even printing out your private keys through a printer, your printer stores that in a memory. And there has been stories of people where they got their sticker keys stolen, and the only thing what they found out was it was stored in their printer memory, and someone hacked into their network and checked their printer, and sure enough, there was a secret key.
And that's the thing. That's like so easy to do if you live in an apartment complex. Like I literally can hit my Wi-Fi thing right now, and I can see like HP this and this printer. I could literally like log into somebody's like the neighbors and just start printing shit in their house. So if I can get in and do that, I'm sure there's some malicious way that somebody could handle something.
No, absolutely. Especially like we were just talking about consensus, especially like if you're at an environment where that there's 9,000 people around you that use crypto.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different things for security that people don't realize they should do. But the bigger thing also with the platform is making it adoptable. So everything we do is coming from a user experience. So that's another thing that really got to me over the years was these wallets that you would have to download. And even with a technical background, sometimes you're left fumbling around the wallet on how to use it, how to navigate. Even when you do know how to navigate and use it, it still just didn't make sense at all.
You had me sold at the point when you came and said, "Hey, Todd, you're a trader and I want your opinion." Right there is what sold me on it because, this is what I do every day, all day. So for somebody to come to me gathering information to see what actually the community wants or an actual trader wants to implement those things, that's something good, because, these guys out here that are making these huge exchanges, they think they know it all. And, it comes down to the end user experience, because that's all what everything's about, the end user experience, So that's what sold me on it.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've looked at things like your eye strain, repetitive motion, minimizing the amount of, maximizing the amount of real estate that we can use on the screen with minimizing the amount of motion that you have to take to execute on trades.
Absolutely. That was like one of the first things I said to you, because, people don't believe it, but sitting at a desk for 14, 16, 18 hours trading, you do get fatigued, and people were like, what? You're just sitting at a desk all day making all this money. And it's like, no, man, when I get done, I'm literally exhausted. Like my shoulders will hurt, my eyes from constantly like moving them. It plays hell on your body.
It does. I mean, just people sit at a desk working for 8 hours a day, and, and they suffer all sorts of different types of fatigue and repetitive motion things. But on top of just like the functionality of trading, it's also, how we view. So some of these wallets, they look like from the 1990s. Wallet for something, it irks me. And they're not efficient on a computer. So, try running 2 or 3 wallets at one time on a computer. You're going to get blockchain errors. You're going to get some database corruptions, or your computer's going to run completely slow, and you're just going to have issues. It won't be usable for you in general. So, we're building it all with the end user. So even if you're not experienced with cryptocurrency, you're still going to have the level of detail that you're used to, but it's going to be presented in a way that is easy to use. It's going to look like what you're used to, maybe with some of your financial institutions or PayPal or some of these companies or even Google. It's going to resemble a lot of those, because there's so much research that goes into actually, this minimalist stuff that actually adds a lot of efficiency and usage, and it's what people are used to. And so that's what we're building it to. So that way, if someone that's not used to crypto says, hey, I'm going to choose the platform choose Halo as my multi-coin wallet, I'm going to get into it. With the other options we have coming, like fiat gateway into crypto, the debit card piece, all those other things, they're going to feel at ease using it. They're not going to feel overwhelmed with technical terms and all this complexity to doing it. But yet, when you start digging into it, there is that complexity, and there is that capacity to have this high learning curve, or this high complexity to it as you start to dig into it. So as you start to figure out that you can drag out 4 windows and watch stuff here and here and here, and watch different exchanges use your API keys, as you really dig in and start using the stuff, it becomes a lot more complex. So it's easy to use, but it has a lot of layers of complexity to it. And then we also developed our own, it's the Halo JS. It's our own JS library behind it. So we don't use Ether Wallet, or not Ether Wallet. We don't use MetaMask in the platform. We actually will have our own Chrome plugin that replaces MetaMask for this and for all these other coins, because we do things a little bit differently. So you'll have a single sign-on between some of your devices, so you can share your, if you have it on your laptop and your phone, you'll be able to share, and you can locally sign. You'll still be locally signing if you're out shopping or doing anything with that. You'll still be able to process transactions, or when you go to a website. And since we support the different coins like Bitcoin and Dash and Ethereum, that won't just apply to Ethereum. So our protocol will allow you to use, basically a MetaMask type process or Coinbase process for checking out with Bitcoin if you're shopping on the web. And then you just send the transaction to the platform, because all of your keys are stored local and you're not having to sync a blockchain. It's all done remote to us. Okay.
For the plugins, what browser supports will they be in? I mean, are you going to cover everything through like Opera, Firefox, Brave, Safari?
I would have to ask Shannon just to make sure that I'm not going to say this incorrectly. Obviously Chrome, Chrome, Opera, I believe Opera, Firefox, there's a term they use, and I can check to see if like Shannon's like screaming at me on Discord, like this is the term that you use, that it's because he's actually saying it's PWA. Anything that allows
I see him coming in the
PWA browser will be able to utilize that option. So I think the only thing we may not allow is Edge, because who uses Edge? So it even works on mobile. So one thing that came about from us, and one of our delays, the biggest delay that we had was originally we were building off of the Ethereum Mist wallet. That was our original intent, was to build off of that. And as we dug into the Ethereum Mist wallet, we found many limitations and many future security issues that we could yes, Shannon, yes, that's what we realized, but unfortunately I won't say that.
We'll keep it family friendly.
That we found lots of issues with it, even with the Electron issue, that it's just their base technology stack is not quick to update when there's a vulnerability that's found in the base code, not of Ethereum Mist, but of what it's built off of, Electron. So instead of renovating a building and building it into what we want to, we ended up demolishing it and starting from ground zero. And that was our biggest delay, is really realizing that and finding the limitations down the road that we would have with it. So that's when we ended up developing our own JS library that is, fully open. So it's the beginning of our SDK library for third-party developers. So that's our Halo JS.
Yeah.
And what that does also is it allows all of our dApps, like our wallet is a dApp, the exchange piece is a dApp, the multi-coin wallet is a dApp. It allows all of those to actually use Web3 to talk to each other. So if you're in one dApp, it actually can talk and interact with one of the other dApps. So everything can be seamless. You're not limited to this one dApp's singular function. So if you're in our chat function, which we used to call Quest, but we do have to change the name for legal purposes, because Quest Chat we realized it was an old, with all the users' permissions that you have to allow. So any dApp will say, we are going to do this. Like, is it okay that we send the exchange, you're signing this transaction to send it to the exchange and stuff like that. Or if you're in our chat module, you're going to send Todd Blackburn, to Halo. Do you approve? It never does anything without your specific permission or signing for that transaction, if it incurs a blockchain process.
Well, I mean, this is great. Every time, we talk, I'm constantly learning something new about this. So obviously this is way, way more involved than I know. So
yeah, it really is unique to what's out there as far as projects. And again, it doesn't even get into, our main product is the platform itself. So, our chat thing, we've gone over a bunch of times what we're doing with the chat, with encrypted chat. The coin at the moment, we've tested it up to about 4,800 transactions per second.
Okay.
But we have it throttled back at the moment to 2,000 transactions per minute.
Now put that in simplified terms. Like, what is that compared to like Dash or Ethereum or?
So Ethereum processes 7.2 to 7.6 transactions per second.
Okay.
Because Ethereum is limited by their proof of work concept. Now, this is their current threshold. Vitalik has talked about Plasma and, removing, once they move away from proof of work and go to Casper, they'll talk about sharding and doing other things to produce a higher transactions per second. But transactions per second aren't just me sending you Halo or Ethereum or anything like that.
Yeah, it's the whole interaction.
It also includes all the smart contracts. That's why Ethereum goes to crap whenever there's a popular ICO, or CryptoKitties was popular. It goes to crap because it can only process 7.2 transactions per second. So it builds up this large queue. So we can also build up a queue if it happens, but our chain at the moment can process about 2,000 transactions per second securely. We can go higher than that. We just have it set lower at the moment, just for further testing at the higher rates, because with that many transactions on a decentralized scale, there's certain occasions that we can still lose sync just because of latency. So, at from Australia to Virginia, it's about 200 milliseconds on AWS backbone itself. So let alone someone that's on a different backbone to that state, you start to lose a little sync there. So we have it purposely throttled just to allow. But PayPal itself only processes about 1,400 transactions per second, and that's PayPal. So when we start to get the actual network usage that will warrant us, we're already working on the next pieces to scale our transactions per second. But realistically, it's going to take us a little bit of time to even get to using our current capacity.
Okay. Well, let's change gears here a little bit. Let's discuss the mainnet tomorrow. Let's go over what is mainnet. How did you come to get to this point? Let's hear about this. Obviously it's the masternodes. So that's what everybody wants to know. How do we set up the masternodes? Can we go over a little bit of that real quick?
I really wanted to just live stream our masternode DApp.
Okay.
It's currently being prepped to deploy onto mainnet tomorrow, so it's not on our development net at the moment, so I can't actually show it. So tomorrow people will see it. Again, our biggest focus was on making things simple. So if you're not tech savvy, it's not an issue at all. It's literally like shopping online. You'll go through 4 or 5 steps to set up your masternode. And those steps are mostly selecting what fork in the road you're going to go down. So our masternodes are based off of smart contracts. First off, they're not like your typical. They're not set up like a Dash masternode or any of the other masternodes that have ran off of them. So they're all based by smart contracts. So they're a trustless system to begin with, meaning that you pay your collateral into a smart contract, and that smart contract enables all the other processes to take place. When you're done with your masternode, you can just withdraw it back out of the smart contract at any time, and that's it. But that also enables us to allows you to pass a percentage of the ownership of your masternode to other people, or for masternodes to have multiple owners in a trustless system. So you don't have to just sit there and say, okay, I'm in a pool with a bunch of random third-party people ran by a service. Let's hope that they don't screw us. So like Dash, there's lots of third-party services for Dash that run pooled nodes, and you have to trust them with your Dash. And I don't think they've ever had any issues, but it's still a trust that you have to have in somebody else. So with our masternodes, you can have a public masternode. Or you can have a private masternode, meaning that I own 100% and I just start it up. And so I just click private masternode. I select tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. So our masternodes, we have 4 different tiers to allow for different entry points into owning a masternode on the network. At the moment, they all have the same processing requirement and duties, but in the future, that may change to where the higher tiers may do other duties to warrant their hire, but at the moment it's just the cost difference between them really that discerns them. So obviously the more you lock up, or the higher tier you have, the more your reward is. So I select a tier 1, and then I can select hosted by Halo, or I can set up my own VPS if you like to do that. And then if I host it by Halo, I just accept a couple other terms of service, and I select which one of my Halo addresses to fund it from. And then I hit provision, and it's done. And you just have to wait for our process to go through. It spins up a masternode, spins up a VPS, clones, syncs the chain, all that stuff. And that's it. You have nothing to input. It's just selecting a couple drop downs and selecting.
So basically that's tomorrow that we can start this process for us users that actually own Halo and went through that process so far. You told me it will be 48 hours till we start generating rewards. I guess that would be the blocks.
So the mainnet starts at the moment 6 Pacific tomorrow is our time where we will release your ICO funds, which you'll get that process. You'll log into your Halo platform email just like you logged in to participate in the ICO. and they'll be or 5 o'clock Pacific. Sorry, 5 o'clock Pacific.
Yeah, he said 7 to 5.
Yeah. And you'll have a JSON file to download, and you'll receive a password to the JSON file. So then you'll just import it like you would import any other JSON file or private key, input the password, and there's your ICO funds. That's it. It's the same process that Ethereum did. So
let's say most people should be familiar with that already.
Yeah, it's built into Ethereum. So, why reinvent a great wheel to begin with? So that's the process there. The blockchain will start. So you can start sending, receiving, setting up your masternodes right away, right at 5 o'clock. As soon as we kick it off, the chain is live. You can set up your masternodes. The rewards, which is the 38 Halo per 4 minutes, that does not start for 48 hours after the Genesis block.
Well, I'm going to mine the Genesis block, right?
Well, Ethereum doesn't allow that. The Genesis block is just a JSON file that we input and create. So that's how all of the ICO funds are distributed. There have been coins in the past that were proof of work that had like their pre-mine for the core team, and they released the wallet and everything before they mined the Genesis block, and then it got stolen, and they had to relaunch the whole network because they lost their pre-mine. So we elected to do 48 hours on reward starting to allow for the time discrepancy between some of our users and allow people to have that chance to start up their masternode and be ready for when the rewards actually start.
I mean, I like that because, simple fact is, some people are on different time zones, 5 Pacific time could be, 4 a.m. in Asia or Europe or London or whatever. And, those guys would, miss out on the opportunity. So that's fair. I mean,
and plus, like if you had one masternode, if there's only one masternode per tier at the first reward, that masternode is going to get the whole reward. So like one tier 1 masternode would get the 5 Halo from the very first reward block if there's only one available. And it's just not a fair distribution. It's not a fair launch for anybody and stuff. So it's 48 hours. That should give everyone enough time that's available to at least do that. I understand some people.
Now, I forget, what was it? Was tier 1 the low one or tier 1 the highest one?
Tier 1's the low one. Tier 1's the 500 Halo.
So I got like several tier 4 masternodes.
I can't remember how many you have.
I can't either, honestly. I didn't even log into my wallet. I hope you gave me my coins.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's not to say gave you. I did not give Todd anything. Todd is not a compensated spokesperson for Halo at all.
Yeah, I mean, no, I hope I got what I paid for, I should say.
No, yeah, you got what you paid for. I think. I remember back when, during that time, like I remember you double checked, like you asked me, like, and a lot of people just DM me like, hey, I just want to make sure I got everything that I paid for. I'm like, yeah, of course you did.
Well, to be honest with you, I was getting rid of that whole, group lot or whatever, and I was more concerned about everybody else than myself, and I didn't even check mine. That's what it came down to. What I bought, I was like, I wanted to make sure everybody got what they bought.
Yeah, and I think we've gone through. Like I went through the list to make sure all the adjustments were made from that group sell or whatever.
Yeah, everybody. I pretty much spoke to everybody one-on-one and confirmed everybody was good to go, and hopefully that makes things go smoother.
So I think everyone has been.
Excellent. I see a question did pop up. Let's take it on to the next topic or whatever. It says question about the exchange feature Scott talked about. Will the trading via API keys from multiple exchanges be ready when Halo X launches, or will that be implemented down the road? So
Halo X is actually different than that feature I talked about. That feature is part of the Halo platform. So that's a platform feature, not a Halo X feature. So Halo X will be part of that feature. Halo X, I believe, last I saw, we're probably about 60 days. Pre-registration for it will be opening here after we get through Mainnet. So maybe at the end of next week or beginning of the week after, just to open up the pre-registration and start getting everyone through that process. The exchange itself, I believe most of the front end is complete. for the most part, other than just a little fine tuning things like actually adding in content to some of the pages for, like fully describing security options and stuff like that. The little
Gotcha.
stuff versus the actual Tradingview and all that stuff is already in. So that part's just separate. That's part of the platform, and that's being worked on right now by one of our front end developers to do the multi-coin and the multi-exchange control piece. That's being worked on right now, and I don't know. Devin probably has a good idea. Devin's our agile coach, so everyone kind of reports to him on those. I think he probably knows what the ETA is looking on that. But the nice thing about the Halo platform is as we add these pieces in or make updates to them, anytime you relaunch your Halo platform, which is called Featherlight, they load automatically. So if we make a big change to the wallet to add in a new feature or rearrange a couple things as we get more and more usage in it, then all you have to do is just exit out of Featherlight and reboot it or restart it, and all of the new features will show up. So there's no updating or anything like that. Now, Featherlight itself will have updates and upgrades to it that we'll put out over time to add more base functionality to that part, the actual program. But for the dApps and stuff like that, we just as we add them on, they'll just appear for you. So
okay. Well, let's talk about the timeline here. I know there's some small setbacks or whatever, which understandable. Such a complex project, but as far as timeline, how do you feel on meeting your goals? Do you feel like you're gonna finish out the third and fourth quarter of the year meeting goals? And
we are, because the delay we really took, or the delay that we had getting up to this point, we really went back and re-engineered our base programming to begin with. And that's what took up a lot of time, was creating the Halo JS and doing these other pieces that allows us just to have a more rapid deployment of the upcoming. So, we have all of our material design specs pretty much down with maybe minor pieces. So all that's done. Our base layout for pages, that's already done. So as we create more dApps, you're going to see a unified, if there's a button like our radio button is always up here in the corner, so that took us a little bit of time to decide to use a radio with a drop-down menu, and it's going to be persistent. The different pages that you're on, it'll have different features then. So like if you're in the wallet, it'll be send, receive, copy to clipboard, stuff like that. Versus if you're in some other page, it'll have whatever's relative to that actual page that you're on. Going forward, we definitely have a lot better development process going forward than we did originally. Not only do we have a lot larger staff, altogether we're pushing over 30 employees now. And
I didn't know that.
What's that?
I said I didn't know there was that many. I mean, I've talked to a bunch of you guys.
Yeah, and that's not just the Halo platform. So we've already included more value to our ICO participants and to the coin holders. We've already added more value, so we don't just have the platform anymore. We announced a couple months ago that we launched Block and Chain Game Studio, and I think we have about 10-ish developers on the Game Studio. So to produce eight people plus a couple of small contractors.
Devin said 8. So.
Yeah, Devin knows because I kind of count Devin is part of the platform plus part of the game team. So in some retrospects, some aspects, I consider him part of the team there, because he works on that also. So he's 8.5.
8.5.
So we have, so we've already added that, and that's part of the platform. So any service fees that are generated through the gameplay, so whether it's a wagered type of game or a game with an auction house or anything that has a consumable or any type of freemium item, that all is considered a service fee. So that goes into the service fee pool that gets paid out to all the masternodes. And so we created a lot more value for the holders already. And we have more pieces coming that I just legally can't announce that will add a lot more value and deliver on some of our other roadmap pieces at the same time.
Okay, well, I'm down for that. Yeah.
Real quick, I see, Brian says that's an epic painting. And Brian, it is an epic painting. That is by Jan Kasparek, your friendly Canadian yoga.
Yeah, if you guys want one, just let me know and I'll get you in touch with him. Yep,
Jan is a very talented artist, and I thank him for the piece that he did for us.
Yeah, he keeps wanting to do a piece for me. I'm like, man, it's like I keep moving so much. It's like and I'm scared to ship it. Like I'm scared it's going to get damaged. Him shipping it. I'm like,
Well, I think he'll bring it to you is the big thing.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said he'd come down and visit me, this summer or whatever, and bring me one. So
yeah. So all right, go ahead. What's next?
I see a question or whatever. It says, "Is Featherlight downloadable program or a web based?"
So at the moment, it is just a downloadable program. One of the things, since we restructured and redesigned using the PWF or PWA, it actually does work natively in a browser. So we just don't have some of the persistence on there. So like if you cleared your cache, you would lose your private keys if you didn't back them up, because they're stored. The web browser stores everything in the cache. So we still have some production pieces on that end. Otherwise, it works exactly like and is exactly as fast as the downloadable, and it still uses local signing. So even though it's a website, it still uses local signing, meaning that your keys are stored on your computer and they're never transmitted out. So your public key is, but then your private key pair to sign a transaction is all stored locally on your computer and is never transmitted to our servers or to any servers anywhere. If there is ever anything that does require them, they would be fully encrypted, which there's just nothing that at the moment requires.
Now, in the future, are we looking at a possibility of an integration with Trezor, Ledger, and our major hardware systems for a while?
That's something that I just started looking into now that we've really gotten Mainnet ready, and we're finishing up some of the polish, and we have to go in and change certain pieces of code for actual Mainnet, like addresses and stuff from testnet to Mainnet, and then removing a bunch of log files and stuff that just doesn't go into production. So I started looking into that to actually allow for like Trezor Ledger integration into the platform also. So I just started looking into that this week, actually.
Okay, so it's basically, you're saying it's on the table.
It is on the table, and it's absolutely something that I believe, because using hardware, obviously hardware wallets for cold storage or for even daily storage is one of the most secure ways to do things right now. So I definitely want to allow that to where it just is a seamless process if you're using the platform to either
understandable,
use your ledger and just work from there, maybe signing and all that stuff just straight through to where they just integrate that. So I can't comment too much on it at the moment, because I started like, how do we work with this and dissecting like what technology requires and to plug into them and stuff like that.
Well, if you need some information or help or whatever, I'm in contact with Trezor, obviously,
absolutely,
products to review and things like that. So, I can,
because the original intent for the platform was not for us to just develop all this stuff on our own, but to more just organize other projects also. So if we find a project that does well, so like I'll use Populous, because I've been looking into Populous and PayPal for the business aspect, because they do great pieces and they have great platforms for what they do in those pieces. So if we find a project that does a great piece, we'll look at how we can integrate not necessarily partnering with them, but just how do we integrate access to their platform into Halo, so that way it's just a service that, even though it's completely somebody else's service, all we're allowing is just the organization and the access to that piece there.
Yeah, I mean, I got it. I mean, if they've already done all the work, you know? I mean,
and we're not claiming that it's our work, and we're not taking any profit from it.
I mean, if they've done the work and they did good work, and you can implement something, you know, I'd be all for that.
If they're a good project, then we want to use them for something. So if it's a better business tool, like PayPal has already, you know, built their QuickBooks app and stuff. So if we can allow easier access for people to do that through the platform by using some type of PayPal integration also, it's perfect. Because that's one of the other things that we didn't get to, because, you know, the platform itself has so many moving details. It's hard to go through all of them in a single conversation for sure. So one of the other things then besides like the multi-exchange then is also being able to organize your coins. So, you know, when I did a lot more trading, which lately I haven't traded as much because I just don't have the time. And, you know, a lot of this gray hair is from trading in this market.
You're telling me.
Luckily, I still have it. Is since you'll be able to tie into these exchanges via API, you can pull your trades, and so we can organize your trades using like a first in, first out, so you can actually know where your cost weight is between like Bitcoin, between all the different exchanges, and actually see where you're at on your trades without having to use some type of spreadsheet and pulling them all in each separately and doing all that stuff. Is the tools will actually allow you to do all that type of stuff to actually your trading. And then, you know, depending on your country and your need, there may be services that are available for you to prepare reports for, whatever tax or reporting that you're doing. So we'll create tools for the different jurisdictions, because this isn't just for US customers or anything like that. We'll create tools that may not apply to US, but maybe apply to other parts of Asia or parts to EU, and some of the stuff won't apply to them, but we'll still provide the tools.
Okay, well, I've seen a good question that we haven't covered yet also. It says, is there any shared masternodes? I guess he's talking about like a pool system or something. Is that something that's possible?
It's not only possible, that's actually at Mainnet launch tomorrow.
Okay.
So we actually have a Masternode marketplace. Okay. To where tier 1 and tier 2, you can join publicly, which is one of the other road options is available when you're setting up a Masternode. So what you can do is you're like, okay, I only have 100 Halo, and I actually want to partake in a Masternode, but I don't have any friends, or I don't have enough friends that have enough Halo to open.
I don't have any friends, man. Can I get on your Halo node, man, please?
One of my friends, Todd, so that way I can join in some master nodes with you. So all you do is you can either go to the marketplace and look at the other smart contracts that are open for a tier 1 or tier 2, and maybe there's one with 450 out of 500 already committed to it, which means that they're in the smart contract, and you put your 50 into it. As soon as you put your 50 into it, the smart contract knows that it's completed, and then goes through the whole process of provisioning the public master nodes, or the public multiple person master nodes. They're automatically hosted by Halo, so not one person is responsible for hosting it, even though they're completely anonymous. So it'd be kind of silly.
So this is for the lower 2 nodes.
What's that?
It's for the lower 2 nodes, like the 1 and 2 tier levels.
Only for the 1s and 2s can be joined publicly at the moment. The tiers and because there's a limit. So tier 1, there's 5,000 maximum. Tier 2, 4,000. Tier 3, there's 1,000, and tier 4, 500 available. So while you can join the tier 3 and tier 4 privately with people, we're not providing those through the market, because to even fill the Masternode system up to begin with is going to takes like 12 million some coins. And that's going to be a couple of years before we even have enough coins in existence to even fill it, if 100% we're committed to masternodes. So just the tier 1 and tier 2s, but you start earning rewards in proportion to how much coins you have in there, and you have to buy in with multiples of 10. So you can't buy in with just one. We had talked about doing one, but then just logistically, if we had 1,000 tier one masternodes and there was one coin, 500 people were in it, each one, then all of a sudden we have 500,000 payouts we have to make every time we do a payout. And there's just too many mapping possibilities. And it was inefficient for the network. And the network has no gas fees. So when you send or execute a smart contract, there's no gas cost at the moment. Some smart contracts in the future, we may start to charge for like ICOs. They may have to start paying gas, but at the moment there's no gas fee. So we still calculate gas cost or gas consumption to avoid any type of malicious smart contract that would run a loop or anything like that. So we still calculate the consumption or the consumed gas, but that gas actually has no cost. So a normal transaction still costs 22,000 gas to send or 21,000 gas to send. Just that gas has zero cost to it. So there's no network fees for using Halo either, because we'd have no miners to pay. Everyone is, the master nodes do the work for processing the transactions and putting them on blocks, and they're compensated through the service fees and through the block reward that's generated every 4 minutes.
Okay. So here's one for you. Maybe you can answer this, maybe you can't. I don't know the legality or if you have any NDAs signed or whatnot, but what exchanges will it be on? Where can we buy it?
Yeah, you can't really say much about that because of NDAs and other exchanges like Binance. If you can only say certain things, we have not applied to Binance because your mainnet has to be live before you apply to Binance and stuff like that. So we can't really comment on who we've applied to because of NDA or where we're going to be listed or anything like that. So at the moment, there's nothing to
all right, I understand. I mean, I didn't know if you could answer that or not. I figured it might be.
I wish now if we had been approved by one and they allowed us to say it, I'd be able to announce it. And we are in talks with exchanges and had applications in with some, but we just can't name which ones or anything like that.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, though, I mean, I know a lot of people are probably trying to buy this. I might set up something privately to do OTC deals for everybody and, bring everybody together. In the meanwhile, if we need to shuffle a couple coins around, something like that,
we have our OTC channel in our Discord that we actually, up until Friday, we shut down trading because we had to lock in the database. We actually facilitated all of the OTC deals. I actually facilitated them all. So people would email pretty much me and say, I sold this many coins for this much, payable to this address and to this person, and that person sent, and I made sure that the Halo made it. After tomorrow, while I could act as a middle person for people, they'd have to send me the Halo, another person has to send me the money, and I send the Halo to that person, send them their coins. I'll still do that, at some level for people if I have time. But,
if it takes some time off you or whatever, I mean, I don't mind splitting up some of the work with you to do some OTC deals.
But like if someone's like, hey, they bought 5 Halo from me. Sorry. Like, the community has been awesome. So I'm sure you'll be able to find, some third-party people that'll help facilitate stuff like that until we get listed on an exchange.
So. Ryan Keller asked a question, actually. He said, earlier you said proof of work was removed. What happened there?
So proof of work for us, I really wanted proof of work to be in our process because I myself am, I've kind of downgraded myself to just like a mid-range farmer, miner. I don't consider myself large anymore because I stopped expanding because of Halo. I just don't have the time to maintain my farm. So, I'm still mid-range though. I have quite a bit still going. So I really wanted to have proof of work in the system. The proof of work for us though was only going to mint coins. It was not processing transactions at all for us. So as we got into the technology and got into where our path goes and where our path is at right now, we had to make the decision to remove proof of work for a lot of technical reasons. One is we wouldn't be able to achieve the transactions per second that we can with proof of work in there. Plus mixing the two styles of blocks. So we use a variable demand transactional block is what we call it, the VDDB. And what that is, basically our blocks are on demand. So if there's a transaction that someone sends, you're not going to wait more than about a quarter millisecond for your process to go, for your transaction to go on the block. So mixing that style of on-demand blocks with a proof of work was just proving to be a lot of work, technically. And then as we improve and go into sharding or different types of clusters to expand from there, we would constantly have to make changes to the proof of work model to continually stay in sync with those. And it just proved to not work out. So I really sat down. I'm like, okay, proof of work is only minting coins for us. So the need for it was really minimal. It was something that we could still achieve through the coin code itself without actually having proof of work and including that. So as a business decision on our tech stack wise, it was easier to make. And then also thinking that we removed the energy usage and stuff like that, it was even easier on top of that. So it ended up just being really more of a business decision to move away from it, which actually allows us to have a better chain and it's still secure and everything. I still wholly believe in mining myself, just not in our business case. It wasn't necessary. And you'll see that, a lot of the top 20 coins proof of work is slowly becoming less and less favorable on the top 20 coins. A lot of them aren't mineable either because they're tokens or because their chain doesn't support proof of work. We are not proof of stake. So people make the steps saying, okay, so you're proof of stake because you pay out your Masternode holders, and we're not proof of stake. Proof of stake still takes the weight of the number of coins you're holding in your wallet against the network weight of total coins and uses that algorithmically to decide if you've generated a block, to basically solve a block. And we're not proof of stake. We flat out mint 38 Halo every 4 minutes. That Halo goes into a smart contract that you can watch the address, and then randomly between 8 and 24 hours, we will distribute those out to all the masternodes. So those coins go out to the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and then to the Arch node, which is only one node that's owned by Halo, which is our sustainable, our model for sustainability to further development and everything going forward also. That's also how we collect our part of the service fees from the exchange and from the game studio and stuff too, to pay salaries, stuff like that. So it, and the service fees go into a separate pool, which you can track that contract address. It goes into a separate smart contract, and you can track that address. So you'll be able to see at any time, like what's sitting out there to be distributed to the masternodes. So eventually, like we'll have metrics on our Explorer that show, previous payouts for each tier, what's pending for each tier, stuff like that. We'll have that all developed here and on the Explorer.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we've been on for about an hour now, so I'm going to go ahead and open it up. If anybody has any questions, let's roll them through the comments here. And, we're going to try to keep the answers short, 3 to 5 minutes max on the questions or whatever, I don't want to have a 4-hour live session here. But definitely want to get the community, involved in this and updated, and so they can make an educated decision if they want to participate or not. So looks like we just answered that question. Do you see any questions, Scott?
No, people have been cleaning up their questions. It looks like either you have or other people have. They've been cleaning them as we ask. So I don't really see any questions. Let me check my
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to roll through them or whatever. I mean, hopefully we covered a lot for everybody.
Let me see if there's anything on my Discord here.
So, I'm going to ask, what's Halo going to be worth next month? 100, 500?
You'll be at least Lambo, maybe Moon.
Moon or Lambo. I mean, I'm cool with a Moon Lambo.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. And I can't say. I mean, honestly,
I'm just messing with you, dude. Everybody always asks me that. What's this going to be worth in 3 years from now?
I have my targets. And so while we have obviously our aspirations for Halo are quite high for what we're offering and what we're providing and what we're building and have already built, I still have very mild milestones for us to achieve. So my first milestone is just breaking into the top 100 because I feel the project with what we're delivering and what we're building is deserved of at least being in the top 100. And where we go from there really will drive obviously everything else. So,
the way I came into this thing, figuring that, just my money would be tied up for a year anyway. So it's not like, I got to pay my rent or anything with it. So, it is what it is. So
as soon as you can long it, I'll let you know.
Take your time, give us a good solid project, and that's all I really want.
Yeah. And that's what we've done. So while we're not a big flashy ICO, we, for pro and con, we haven't done a lot of viral marketing, and we haven't done a lot of that stuff for what it's worth, because that's just not my style to begin with.
Yeah.
We believe in focusing on development and delivering an actual product and then letting it go from there.
I got to get my shill in here and there. Throw my plugs in, little Halo this, Halo that. Oh, isn't that how we do it?
We'll send you like a Halo vape. So like when you let it go, like the smoke comes out in the H.
Yeah.
You learn that one?
Yeah, no, man. That's it says, have Halo got any marketing lined up upon mainnet release? So you got anything going on, man? Obviously no Facebook ads, but anything else in your mind or?
Yeah, we have lots of pieces coming out. Again, we're mostly development focused, even our staff. So we do have a new community manager coming on, starts Thursday, who has experience in the space as our community manager. And we have a marketing team that we've been consulting with, and we'll really get that going once we've gotten through the mainnet, because launching a product, we want to make sure that we're through the launch and the product is well received, and we receive some of that initial feedback, because as much as we can pour through the pages and move stuff here and there, we'll find that there'll be a little bit of feedback that people just find these little pieces for us that we really need to improve before we put out and spend an egregious amount of money towards marketing and going and doing demos at the trade shows and stuff like that. So while we want to have the name out there and the recognition, really just doing a lot of that marketing is going to come here very shortly, as soon as we're confident with the product, delivery wise.
I believe in letting people know.
We make it through tomorrow and we all get a little bit of sleep. We'll go from there.
Yeah. I believe in letting people know, obviously, about it and doing some type of marketing. But honestly, I think products speak for themselves in the crypto world, because people will talk about good projects. And if a project's shitty, they will definitely talk about it. So, we had
delay, but we've delivered on our product, and we've actually delivered a significantly better product than we initially proposed.
But to be honest, man, I don't think it was really that long of a delay. What's a few months on a project like this? Look at Stratus. You're probably ahead of them.
I prefer not to.
So there's so many projects out there that basically, are just pipe dreams. And
and we raised in the ICO market, we raised a significant for for people, I mean, it's a significant amount of money, but in the overall scheme, it was.
Yeah. Oh no, it wasn't much.
It wasn't much at all. But so we've continued to add value as a company and as a product to those people, and now we're delivering a great product. Ryan Keller asked real quick, will you be able to cancel anytime? Yeah, you can cancel anytime. So if you wholly own the Masternode by yourself, you can withdraw and cancel at any time. If you're joined in with other people, then you'll have to sell your Masternode, your portion of the Masternode, which the marketplace allows for that. So if you've joined in, so say Todd and I are 50-50 on a Masternode, you can sell your shares on the Masternode market. And so I can put up my 250 Halo for 250 Halo, and just because I want to cash out, or I can offer my 250 Halo for 245 because I want to sell quickly, whatever it is. And that also allows for in the future when the Masternodes are completely full, it's going to be more like real estate. So in 3 or 4 years, when all the tier 4s are taken, I could put my tier 4 up for more than the base cost of the collateral. So if Halo is still at $10, I could put my tier 4 up for $100,000, even though the base Halo is only worth $75,000 because they're all taken. And if the returns on the service, not the returns, but the what I'm receiving in service fees and everything exceeds that and makes it a great investment, then people can actually do that. So you can cancel anytime if you own it yourself, if you're joined with somebody else, if it's a join with someone like a friend like Todd or something, then you can.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to get rid of their Masternode right off the bat, please talk to me first.
Yeah,
see if I'll work something out.
So, but if you join publicly anonymously with people, you have to sell your share to get out, which that's already built into the marketplace. So the functionality for that's already built in. And so then you otherwise you just collect your rewards. You do actually have to withdraw your rewards from the Masternode smart contract. So it's just because of doing it automatically, again, just caused a lot of network congestion and stuff. So you'd have to log in and just occasionally withdraw your Masternode rewards from the smart contract, but it's always sitting there.
Yeah.
The marketplace, we do charge a 1% fee that goes as a service fee to Masternode holders. So like if you and I, if we did it privately, there's no fee. But if we use the public marketplace, there's a 1% fee, and that goes as it's a service fee for the platform. So, if you're creating a tier 1 node for public consumption, it actually has to have, 505 Halo to actually fulfill, because you have to pay an extra 1% on top of. So if you're donating in 10, you have to have 10.1. And so it's not a lot of Halo overall that you pay individually, and that goes as a service fee to all the Masternode holders. So that's there.
All right. Can you hear me audio wise?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. I had to switch out headphones. These things die in like an hour for some reason. So, but yeah, I mean, looks like we got a lot accomplished tonight. A lot of questions answered. So hopefully everybody can make some educated decisions now about this.
Mm-hmm. And we didn't even touch on a lot of the pieces,
Oh no, man! I figure we could go on here for,
Yeah,
hours and hours.
Fortunately, I can. It's also unfortunate that we can't go through the whole depth of it and get into it, but that's the majority of it. So,
yeah,
cool.
So,
Can't just lost you.
All right, you should be back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I did. So let me ask, when should I close my Bitcoin long today?
We're gonna have to see how the market goes tomorrow, man. As of right now, the Asian market didn't open with a crush fest like it did last week, so that's a good sign. Basically they set the tone tonight. Today's their Monday morning, so they're first up on it, and they set the tone. So it's not exactly like taking off ripping, but it's obviously not getting crushed either here.
I hear you.
So I think we'll have to
Cool.
make our decisions coming in, see what the US Open does tomorrow morning.
Absolutely.
So I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Do you have any last thoughts or anything you want to add to this?
Just, a word of appreciation to everyone that did participate in the ICO and everyone that supported us during the process getting to this step here. We really want you guys to be happy with the product and feel fulfilled with what we've delivered. If you guys have any questions or feedback on it, don't hesitate to drop in our Discord or send us an email, anything like that, and stuff like that. So again, just words of appreciation for everybody. The crypto community, when you deliver and you're doing good work for them, it's everyone's very well received and warm and stuff like that. And it's really an awesome community, especially with CCT, stuff like that. I enjoyed meeting a lot of everybody in Belize and stuff like that. So just thanks to everybody.
That's cool, man. Yeah. I mean, like I said, projects speak for themselves, and, I don't have anything bad to say. Everything's been positive and pleasant experience, what I have done with Halo. So, I'll continue to support it. That's the way it goes. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on here with me, Scott, friend of mine, always great to chat. I'm sure we'll talk plenty this week privately, but
sure, man.
We're going to wrap this up. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this, got, good content brought to you, and we'll go ahead and call it a wrap for the night, man.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Good night, everyone.